Fleccas Talks Talks. Welcome everybody. This week we are finishing a puzzle with An0maly. An0maly is a great friend of mine out here in LA, musician, politically very fair, one of my favorites, my best friend out here. Heard it here first.
It's a blessing. Nowhere in the world I'd rather be than in Fleccas Talks.
Wow.
Finishing a puzzle. But I'm worried that I can't double task.
I told him I'll pick up as much puzzle slack as needed. An0maly has a great song, just came out, Bob Ross, which we'll play later in the episode. If you're looking for SJW protest bashing, I'm sorry. For the next 30 or so minutes, it's going to be finishing a puzzle with An0maly. But
talking about key issues, though.
Key issues are going to be talked about, and finishing a puzzle with An0maly is not a bad thing. This puzzle is some sort of deer scene. Before we go,
metaphorically putting the puzzles together to American culture and lifestyle in the world as well. So it's a metaphor for the, red pill puzzle that we need to put together to unite humanity.
Wow. And that's the real shit. And I'm sorry for cursing right off the bat. But no, that
demonetized.
No money. Anyway, but yeah, that's a great point. We are putting the pieces together. And I think the randomness, I call it randomness, but I think now maybe not, of picking a puzzle as the activity is like our secret deeper brain telling us a message.
This is true.
And it's like sometimes you don't get it. Sometimes you have to experience it. And then you're like, oh, okay, we are putting the pieces together and we're trying to, see the bigger picture.
We're diving deep down that rabbit hole. As they say follow the rabbit. So we keep deep diving, learning more, putting the pieces together. And I think it's important to know that no matter how far we go, we still have more to learn always, Even when this one's done, there might be a whole nother puzzle game left to play. So it's,
Exactly. Who knows what piece this plays in the bigger puzzle.
But you put the pieces together by wanting to. You can't just follow fake news. Because if you follow fake news, you're going to be, 10 years, you're going to be putting this piece together and we're going to be riding a, Jetson-style hoverboard. So people need to stop playing the wrong puzzle.
That's real.
There's a lot of fake news puzzles out there.
Keep watching the fake news, and when we get flying cars, you won't have any.
Facts. With Litecoin.
That's true. Litecoin, Bitcoin, that's something that's been happening a lot lately. Yeah, all the big banks are saying this isn't reliable, it's going to crash, this is a bubble. I don't know, man. Whatever the big banks are scared of seems to be pretty good, and it's going up and up and up. So
absolutely. I want to say I watched a documentary on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency, and one thing that made me feel better about investing in it is this was years ago when it just started. The leader, I forget his name, the Asian guy, I can't think of his name.
Japanese man.
Exactly, who invented cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, he disappeared. And the reason he disappeared is because one of his co-founders and one of the people he's working with had a meeting with the CIA. And as soon as he heard that, he was a ghost and he never came back. But on a good thing is, if the CIA knows about Bitcoin, I know the hedge fund managers and stuff know about Bitcoin. The banks know about Bitcoin. I mean, they know about it, so they haven't shut it down yet. And I think a lot of the hedge fund people, and maybe not the high ups at the bank, they see the huge gains. A lot of these Wall Street people, I know for a fact, they're already investing in the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin and alternative coins because none of these politicians, a lot of these banksters and stuff, they're not really loyal. Like, people think it's this big. There's definitely wealthy families, but as soon as the power goes from them, people start to, for lack of a better term, suck on a different power teat. So it's like, they're like, hey, come back to here. And then they're like, no, I'm going to quadruple my, $1 billion in Bitcoin and Litecoin. So I think for that way, it's going to work out. I think the big banks are scared, but I mean, it's the era of Trump. It's the era of the mainstream media collapse. Like, it's the era of the crypto.
Exactly. I think if Bitcoin was here during Obama times, the big banks wouldn't be as scared and Obama would do something to mess it up.
It's a possibility. I know Trump had a big Wells Fargo tweet too. He was like, Wells Fargo's going to get penalized under me. Like, I'm going to penalize them. This guy's a real guy, man. If you're a progressive, whatever, going at the big banks, he's not tied down. Obama's traveling the country doing, Wall Street speeches for all the banks that he bailed out. So, I mean, talk about an outsider, talk about a progressive.
Yeah.
This guy's the real deal.
The realist. And with your Bitcoin investing and money making, what better thing to do with it than buy Fleccas Talks merchandise?
This is true. Very rare.
Very rare, limited edition, single run. There's going to be a series of single runs coming out of just like cool stuff. And I don't think we're ever going to sell the same thing like at the same time. So we're never going to have two things for sale at once. It's going to be just series of things. Get yours today. This is a gigantic one that I'm going to wear. COVFEFE, that's how I've been saying it.
Wow.
Condensed Andy Warhol style MAGA juice.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, you know, take your red pill. It's like, this is the kind of the red pill. This is like the art form of it. And if you look closely here, the Fleccas Talks logo, subtly there.
I'm going to let y'all know a secret. He's got a physical prototype copy of this. So you think Fleccas not leveling up. This guy's working hard. He's got physical prototype MAGA COVFEFE coffee cans, and I've seen it. I don't know if it was like Roswell where I wasn't supposed to talk about it, but it's too late.
It's too late now.
Physicals.
I got one of those. He's absolutely right. The link is in the bio. Go get one. We also make it in posters, and honestly, guys, I love a good t-shirt, but I think a poster is what I like the most. Imagine this nice frame. If you could see above, it's like the rest of, you know, it's like this times 2. Filling that with the COVFEFE poster, putting it on your wall. The liberals who are brainwashed going through autopilot anyway will walk by and be like, oh, Andy Warhol, Campbell's soup. And then like, they won't even look at it. But
everybody's got a Bob Marley.
It's a little thing.
Everybody's got a John Lennon.
COVFEFE.
Not everyone has a COVFEFE.
No one's got a COVFEFE. It's a little inside joke with you and your friends. Put it in your room if you're in high school. Put it in your room if you're 40. I don't care. Put it in your room. It's $25 for the poster. No, it's $20 for the poster. And it's $25 for the shirt.
This guy works hard.
You know, it's not cheap, but it's like the poster actually costs more when it comes to shipping than you think because the tube is something different. And we're not making that much money. All the money's going back into getting more merchandise and selling different merchandise. We're not making any money. Don't worry.
I'm literally not making any money, but, you know, he fed me an Eggs Benedict today, so in a way I am benefiting off of it. So if you want me to eat delicious eggs, maybe I don't think that's really a good sales pitch. We could probably work on it, but if you want me to eat eggs, help this, you know.
Help this man, help this man.
Help yourself, help others. Change. I don't know exactly what I was trying to say, but
no, dude,
it's a good design.
You'll never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance. Bob Ross. All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross.
It is. It really is. And which brings us to our next point. Domino's, if you are looking to feed people and not spend too much money, I've only had fantastic experiences with Domino's. They don't sponsor me or give me anything. I just like to talk to them and say hello. And as long as they don't get crazy political and say something about Hillary, that's good. I think we're not going to have a problem with Domino's.
It's a rare Domino's plug. You're welcome.
Yeah. I honestly, it's not even for money. They're not paying me anything. Domino's, the app itself, you can open it and be like, all right, coupons. It gives you all the coupons, and then you pick. And I swear, every single time, there's a 50% off coupon.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I know I get those bread bowl things. They got the
so
pasta
good.
bread bowls. They are good, but then it's like I take a nap every time. I take a lot of naps anyway, so I shouldn't really blame them.
Yeah. Just... naps aren't. It's
their fault. Take my taxes. It's their fault. Take my taxes, and you can help us. Isn't that what they're doing these days? Blaming everyone else and trying to. We're gonna stop big government, but we're gonna give them more of our money. Sorry, yeah. I had to make it political, but I think.
Speaking of socialism, dude. Yes.
I'm gonna get my hat real quick.
Get your hat real quick.
Because my hair is in my face, so I thought it would be like a good play, but I'd rather just be able to see.
This puzzle, by the way, I mean, this is like a game of Buck Hunter or something. There's 2 beavers, there's 3 deer, an elk, 2 bears, a bird, a woodchuck, a bobcat, 20 more deer, and 4 gooses, an eagle, and some things we haven't even put together yet. Like, what scene is this? This cameraman like had his camera and he turned and was like, oh.
It's the best scene ever, yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, it's totally unrealistic. It's absolutely Photoshop because it's got every animal. It's like a paradise.
butterflies, frogs.
So what would have happened if Bernie Sanders would have won?
Yeah, this is Bernie's America. It's this and people in hijabs. What if that's what the left are going for? It's like the left wants to be so equal that the only way to be equal is to be anonymous, and everyone starts wearing hijabs. That's like a left paradise, because like I can't tell if you're Asian, black, white, anything, man, woman, whatever the other ones are. You can just be that's what we should start pushing for that.
I mean, I'm trying to get a robe. I'm trying to get a robe. So I'm leveling up. First, I'm going to get comfortable in a robe. I might go full hijab just to be like, men can wear these too. You know, I'm definitely a feminist. So if women are wearing them, I think men should be wearing them.
That's equal. And that's like the socialism version of equal. It's like, instead of saying, hey, women don't wear them, it's saying, hey, we'll wear them too.
It's like that Dr. Seuss, who is racist, now that we know from the preschool teacher who hates Trump. But Dr. Seuss, there's a story about like everybody wants to be cool, and then they get like stars on their bellies, and then they're like, oh, that's not cool anymore, and then they take them off, and it's like this constant cycle of like trying to be cool. It's kind of what that side is, you know. It's like at a certain point you just gotta like relax. I don't know, maybe go for a bike ride or something. Like we can't. It's like a constant race to the bottom and a constant, oh, I can do what they can do. Just do what you want to do, because you're free to do that in America. It's the greatest country ever. It's the greatest time ever to be alive for any person. It's like they're making up their own oppressions, and then they're like sitting in a corner with their face against the wall. And then they're like, what's going on? And you like tap them on the shoulder. You can do whatever. You can wear what you want and be who you want. Yeah. Like someone lied to them.
Like those people, instead of playing the game and being the best them they can be, they're scared to play because they don't trust themselves. And they're basically saying, I'm going to be the best whistleblower complainer and change the thing, because that's the only thing they can control. Like the impossible fight is they rather commit to that than just actually try and be successful and don't make excuses and go out there and just like Rambo things.
And there's never been a better time. Like if you were broke, like homeless, or just like working a hard job and had $1,000, $2,000, put it in Bitcoin 5 or 6 years ago, you're a multi-millionaire now. If you just shut up and just like did something, you know, like that's just one rare example. Wow. But I mean, you know, these complainers, the world is like evolving. Like just shut up and do something, and you could get more than you could ever imagine. Like the blessings are everywhere, but if you're always looking for the bad, you'll always find it. And you really got to reach. Like I'm all for social justice and I'm all for helping people, but like the modern day feminist and LGBT movement have been hijacked by the Democratic Party, where they're like making stuff up, or they're like putting a microscope on something and then leaving like, oh, we care about all these people except for 95% of them. It's like nothing about it makes sense. So
yeah,
left reformist.
Wow. Every time the Democrats touch something, it gets ruined. And I'm not saying that to play the automatic side and blah, 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 but just every time the Democrats touch something, it gets ruined.
Well, I'm finding out now it's because they're chronic liars. They use the mainstream media, and people think, oh, well, he's just a Republican and he cares about the Republicans. No, they not only lie about the Democrats and cover for the Democrats, they lie about the Republicans, make up stuff, make up fake stories that everyone follows. So now real Republicans who are doing real bad things go unnoticed. So they actually protect both parties. They do nothing. They have no solutions. Even most Republicans, besides the John McCain's and Mitt Romney's now, who are clearly just playing the game, they at least have a stance. Even if I might not agree with them, they're supposed to be some certain values. The left and the modern Democratic Party, they stand for nothing. They have no solutions. They have no strategies. All they know how to do is complain, hate, lie to people like Stephen Colbert and Trevor Noah. Oh, like Roy Moore and Charlottesville, and everyone's like, good, like Russia. Like they do that every day. It's like so annoying. At a certain point, the Democratic Party is responsible for the failures in both parties, and you know, they rigged the election. They cheated out kind of both sides, except Trump got too strong. And it's just, at what point are they just going to leave us alone?
Bob Ross, let me take it down slow. Let me break it down low. Holla, holla.
Yeah, and it's reassuring to see the people that are in charge of it are like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. And I'm not scared of them.
That's how bad they are. It's like
that's your people. Like Maxine Waters, It's like if Maxine Waters was going to give a
Lou.
speech, I'd be like, don't give a speech, Maxine Waters. It's going to be not great.
These people are getting like 5, not that Twitter really matters that much, but they're getting like 3 retweets, 5 retweets. And then all of a sudden they started hating on Trump and they'll get 20,000 retweets. So what motivation do they have to tell the truth about him? Their whole persona is like anti-Trump. That's like who they are now. Like they go to bed and they don't even eat like, you know, cereal. Not that you should really eat cereal at night, but I do it all the time. But like they eat anti-Trump Wheaties and they're just like, oh, we're gonna Rosie O'Donnell, you know? Like she's like, she has a reason. But like Chelsea Handler, you look at their Twitters and it's like these people are almost, you think mentally ill, should seek help. And like Chelsea Handler made a big video. She's like, oh, I'm on vacation. I'm really gonna forget about Trump. And she's like, I'm on mushrooms. And she like passed out in like a tub. She was like, oh, I'm on vacation, forgetting about Trump. You're not forgetting about Trump because you wrote his name in the freaking title. So it's like you can't even go on vacation and stop thinking about the guy. These people are pathetic.
Yeah, I started thinking about Trump. You're making a video about it.
That's what, and he's in the title. Like, oh, I'm forgetting about Trump so much. Here's me forgetting about Trump in a tub on mushrooms.
Wow.
First of all,
it's a mental illness.
It is. And you didn't take enough mushrooms if you could record yourself and post it on Twitter. Because when you really take mushrooms, you're not doing all that.
Yeah.
But that's a side note.
Should have Graham and like was drinking on it and thought she was chill. Wow. So that's interesting. And then like the Nancy Pelosi and those people.
So lame.
I treat dopamine as like a drug kind of. I think about it because like I will post something and then I'll get like a bunch of comments and likes and I kind of like, ooh, I'm feeling good now.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that. I wonder if they're having that response. They get 3 retweets, 5 retweets, and they get 20,000. Do you think they're running their own Twitters? Do you think Maxine has her Twitter and she tweets, or do you think they email her potential tweets and she picks the ones she likes?
I block most of them just out of like, they're just so phony that it's just like, I don't see what they tweet that much. I hear about it, but I don't, probably some of them have PR teams for sure.
Yeah, they have to.
Some of them might be like, I think Ted Lieu, he's just doing it himself and he's like, yeah, I'm good at this stuff. It's cool. Like I get why people want to be popular and stuff. I'm not hating on it. Of course, we all want shares if we're sharing something, especially our careers are in this. But like they don't tell the truth about anything. They're so negative. Like at least have something to like benefit to society. They're all fake activists, fake environmentalists, fake social justice warriors, fake LGBT heroes. Like it's just fake. Like I like a good real one, but the real ones. Now, if you say something real, they're like, what are you, a Trump supporter? You're like, why? Because I'm a transgender and I don't like social justice warriors. You know, there's like the Blair Whites and there's, you know, people, Muslims, Christians, like everybody who are just sick of the BS. It's like, it's a bipartisan issue. The news is lying. It doesn't, like, no matter how much you hate Trump, it's never going to make all the stuff Stephen Colbert and Trevor Noah says are true. Like, you can not like Trump, but those people are lying, and Joy Behar, like they're all lying. So I'm just so sick of the BS, you know?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I feel like Alex Jones in that remix, the Bon Iver remix, just I'm so sick of these people.
Yeah,
They're a
let's
bunch of
play
Christian
that.
murders gone with giant death factories, eating babies alive
and selling their body parts.
I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murders gone down with giant death factories, keeping babies alive and selling their body parts.
Eating babies alive, okay. That one we'll touch on at some other point. But selling their body parts, it's true. Planned Parenthood is being investigated right now for selling body parts. And Dr. Carson, Ben Carson said, which is a great point, he said, if it's not a human life, why are they harvesting its organs?
This is why
so weird.
The left and the Democratic Party are losing with everything is because they don't have, like, you're like, okay, pro-choice, that's cool, you know, pro-life, or, you don't like Planned Parenthood, blah, blah. And then you're like, hey, they might be selling body parts and fetuses and stuff and, like, selling them for money. And they're like, but you don't want me to have my choice. And you're like, you're not listening to me. They're selling body parts. But you are. It's like, shut up and listen. They can't have a conversation. But Roy Moore in Charlottesville. Okay, Roy Moore, Charlottesville, and they might be selling body parts. So once again, like Alex Jones, I don't understand why so many progressives who think they're revolutionaries don't like Alex Jones. He's like every progressive like activist, but he's like realer and he tells the truth about more things. It's like he's all this stuff in his song. He did a remix of that stuff and showed proof of everything. Like, the left thought that song was so funny because it was hilarious, but they were like, oh, he's so crazy. He made a remix. Watch the remix of that video where he shows proof to every single thing he was saying. Yes, he's animated. Yes, he's goofy because he's like a more fun version of the news. You know, it's like he's better on all levels. And I don't think he's the like, I'm not saying everything Alex Jones says is right, but he's just better. They've set the bar so low. Alex is the least above him. All this stuff he says is true, but you talk to a lot of my left-leaning friends. I love them and stuff, but they're like, oh, Alex is crazy because of that song. And I'm like, but everything he said in that song is kind of true. You know, like, research what he's saying. Oh, whoa, exactly. Baby's body parts. But now you see it's a big report and it's going to go mainstream soon. It already has, except on the left. They are being investigated, right?
Yeah,
for selling body parts. But this is what happens when you can't have a conversation. Everything's racist. Everything's sexist. Everything's Islamophobia. You don't like women to have a choice. We do, but think about your choice. Just because you can be whatever you want to be doesn't mean you should be like a screeching, like, you know, shave off all your hair and just yell at everybody. And I don't care if you shave your hair. I don't care about material things, stuff like that. But what I'm saying is you don't have to be this like fake feminist, like screeching, unable to have an intelligent conversation. I'm so tired of it. Even the most extremists on the right, beat them with facts and arguments. You know what I'm saying? Beat them with logic. If you can't beat them in an argument, you make them look better. So these dum-dums, I'm being nice by calling them dum-dums like lollipops, but the dum-dums on the left, they're ruining everything on the left. They're ruining all modern liberal values. But then they're even like emboldening the most far-right extremists who even most people on the right don't even like. So they simultaneously, An0maly, why are you only talking about people on the left? Why don't you talk about people on the right? It's because the people on the left have the most media power and they're ruining both sides. They're emboldening the extremists on the right and they're emboldening the extremists on the left, and they're being extremists. I mean, Chelsea Handler, like, I mean, she's pretty extreme.
I was just like in a trance for a second, listening to what you said. I feel like the left, a lot of the left and a lot of these actors especially, we give them a lot of credit because they're famous and we think they're like different than us.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like maybe they're crazy or they party, whatever, and then you think they're just like, oh, I'm here, and they're just like a different type of person. But I think the social justice people and all these people that support the left, they don't know anything. They know they don't know anything. Maybe they're not good. I think they're not good people, and their biggest fear is people knowing they're not a good person. So the only defense to that is to be like the best person, and being the best person is like all these social justice causes and being more righteous than everybody. But meanwhile, they're hypocrites themselves. And it's like,
I think there's
it's like a cover up. It's like, oh, like how can I don't think I'm that good of a person. Like how can I be a good person so people think I am? Oh, I'll just go to this charity event. Meanwhile, I'm the one like molesting people or whatever.
I think there is some overlap there. I think there's a lot of, good people on the left for sure. But I think the extremists on the left, absolutely, that's what they're doing. Like a lot of the left politicians, I think absolutely that's what they're doing. And there is something psychologically there where I don't want to condemn. I don't think everybody on the left is doing horrible things. I think a lot of people on the left are good-hearted people who really do want to help. They're just easily misled. So much love to those people. These people, almost on every account, they can't self-reflect, because if you're a self-reflecting person and you really want to fix yourself, and when it comes to the Democratic Party, say you want to fix the Democratic Party, there's no way you can just keep blaming Republicans and not realize something is extremely wrong on that side. So anybody that's just blindly still just hating on conservatives and don't get why Trump won, don't get the silent majority, don't get the even like left-wing like truther movement that's kind of building, if you're just like ignoring it, there's almost 100% of the time you don't know how to self-reflect. So these people need to do some total soul searching, as we all do. But how, like, these news sources just pander to these people.
It keeps them in autopilot, I think. And I think at this point, like, they're driving people away. So like a patriotic liberal now is the new conservative.
So if you're a patriotic normal liberal who likes normal liberal values like free speech, or someone like me, they'll call you a Nazi. They'll call you a Trump supporter, even if you don't support Trump. If you do support Trump, who cares, But it's like they use that as a term. If you're a classic good liberal, like a good left-leaning person, they consider you a right-wing extremist. That's how extreme these people are. Like I've been heard, oh, they think you're an extremist. for telling the truth about what the left should be and what the left is now and how the media is lying. That's how far they've fallen. And that's why they're ruining both sides of the debate. The right's getting stronger. Right-wing extremists seem more credible when they're, you know, they're saying all this stuff like, oh, this is my homeland and blah, blah, blah. I want to keep it white supreme or whatever. Do I think that's a fair and right argument? No. When I saw Richard Spencer talk to Charles Barkley, and that's disgusting. I thought that was his worst, most terrible interview. He was just rude, mean, disrespectful to Americans. But when you see other videos of Richard Spencer and he's saying something and his opponent's like, duh, like not saying it, you're giving him power and credibility because you can't beat this argument. It's you beat somebody with an argument. These people, they're emboldening the most extreme right. They're growing the right, which is fine to an extent as long as it's the, you know, the new right that has got stuff. They're ruining the left, and if you want to make the left again, like they call you an extremist on the right. Like, at what point do we address this issue? I mean, that's why I dedicate almost my life to it now. And people accuse me of other stuff, but it's like there is no such thing as a liberal anymore. They're like extremists.
I done come up from the basement on a struggle from the pavement. Came up high, I feel Jamaican till my eyes switch to the matrix. We are all just human. Shout out Puerto Rican, French, and Haitian. I just say it, everybody play themselves if they're racist.
Do you have a hard time keeping friends in LA out here or dating people because of your political views?
I know so many good people, honestly, and like even, you know, my one of my best friends out here, he doesn't like Trump. I don't think he wore like a F Trump shirt to an extent or something like that. Like, but I think he listens to me though, and he considers what I'm saying, and we don't care. You know, I like the friends that it's like we don't talk about politics, and if it comes up, we both don't care. So I'm lucky. I've had a lot of people leave my life, a lot of good friends and stuff. Some people, like a girl that I chill with, I don't think it was going to work out anyway, but she was like, oh, what you said about Trump makes me not even want to hang out with you. And I didn't even say, I said he was underrated. I was like, I didn't even say I dumbed it down as much as possible. Like, I think the news is lying, and I think he's not as bad as they're saying. And she was like, I can't even fathom that. But it's like, who cares about that? So I have a lot of good friends like you and other people. Dating, it's always hard in LA. I feel like it's one of the weirdest, worst places to date anyway. But, you know, it is what it is. I think my life just filters itself out, and there's been way more good people. The silent majority is very, very real. And my like style of kind of explaining political stuff, I'm getting messages from yoga teachers and small business owners who are like, you know, I'm a real feminist and I don't want to say anything, but I like Trump and he's right. And, you know, it's like they don't want their businesses to get ruined, but there's everyone. I just had an interview with a Muslim American immigrant who loves Trump and who can't stand the left. I had lunch with somebody who grew up, you know, his family's Muslim. I think he's agnostic, but he's like, I like Trump. I see what you're saying. I'm afraid of the left because if the left doesn't stop, it's going to get worse and worse and worse in the Middle East. It's going to get worse and worse and worse here. And then a real right-wing extremist is going to be president. So it's like a lot of the Muslims I talk to who aren't really buying the Kool-Aid, they like Trump and they're afraid of saying it. One, they get demonized in their own community by the liberals, of course, by LA. But two, it's like they know, I mean, if the left continues what they're doing and they think they could get away with it, it's not going to work. So I'm not really that concerned. Like, they're losing on every level and they're going to keep losing. But if like whatever they want to achieve, if they somehow achieve it, they're going to ruin everything. They're going to ruin this country. They're going to ruin the world. They're going to ruin things for Muslims, for Christians, for women, for men, for transgender. Like, nothing about anything they're saying makes any sort of sense. And I'm willing to debate any progressive and any liberal at any single time, but they usually just curse at me. I've had a good progressive liberal friend who's a big voice, and I've been on his show before, and he was like bashing Christians and conservatives, like saying really crazy stuff. And me personally, much love, I have a lot of Christian conservative fans. I don't consider myself Christian or conservative. I just call it like I see it. If it overlaps, it overlaps. I do love God. I have a lot in common with Christians. But he was bashing him, and I said, hey, I challenge, like, let's have a friendly debate. Like, brother, like, as nice as possible. You text me, don't ever tweet me like that again. When you could text me that, go F yourself. So I'm like, you want to bash Christian conservatives, say all this crazy stuff, and then I say politely, hey, let's just have a conversation about it. They don't want to talk to me. the progressives and the liberals because they know I'm better on every single topic, and I'll run circles around them. So it's like I'm sick and tired of these people. They say all this stuff, but when it comes to they won't debate about it.
When it comes down to it, Nazi go home.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they have no conversation, and they know it. I've been on the show. You could search it and talked about single payer healthcare. They love single payer healthcare, the progressives, and I said it's a complete failure. One, take care of your own health. You know, they don't tell you about the root causes of health, which is our diets, our exercises, our mental health, and they make all those things worse, and then convince us we need all this healthcare and insurance. And he's like, oh, you're right. And I was like, single payer healthcare, you know, one government run healthcare sounds pretty disastrous. It's like having McDonald's, they're going to feed everyone in America. And you're a Nazi if you don't want them to feed everyone. You must hate poor people. And they're like, oh, you're kind of right. So it's like anytime I face them, they don't have a discussion. So they have to yell at me because they know I'm, you know, they don't want to ruin
single payer healthcare. And then the government controlling healthcare, by the way, which is like such a fascist thing. Talk about fascist. Oh, you're fascist. Trump's a fascist.
Yeah.
Obama put government control basically on energy, the economy, and healthcare.
Everything
in 8 years, which is just like
that's huge.
That's huge. And then it's like, yeah, government who's lobbied, you know, there and back from healthcare people, big pharma. You're gonna control the distribution of the drugs and how easily it is, and who, you know, you're taking the money in every level in that case. That's insane. And
that's how it starts. People don't get Nazi Party, National Socialism. That's where Nazi derived from. They up the taxes because when you take tax away from people, now you have more of the money. You steal the money. You own all the industries. Oh, free healthcare. That's what Hitler literally did. Oh, free government healthcare, free government schools, free government radios. Lure you in with all the fake news, and then now we own everything, and you don't. It's exactly how they do it.
Hillary's saying free healthcare, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to pay $200 a month.
Totally.
Like, yeah, that's what I need. I need free healthcare. I need a free car. Like, where's that? You know, it's like
it's coming from somewhere. If it's coming from your taxes, now there's more money. I mean, it's already a scam, in my opinion. You have to pay health insurance. If you don't pay health insurance, you get a fine. That's almost more than your health insurance, so you're forced to pay health insurance. If I had all the money I paid for health insurance, keep in mind I pay a couple $100s a month, and then I go and they're like, oh, it'd be $100 if you don't need insurance. I go once or twice a year. I lose thousands of dollars. If I could invest into myself and buy better food, buy a nicer apartment, get help for my back and a physical therapist or whatever, I would be healthier. So they steal my health. They steal my money. It's already too far. You should be able, in my opinion, to not buy health insurance.
But then what about like I just brutally broke my leg and it's like off my body and I need all the stuff.
I think you got to pay for it, you know? At that point, if you don't get health insurance, you got to pay.
What if instead of health insurance, I think I've seen this somewhere, instead of health insurance, you have like this, imagine like a 401k type account.
Yeah.
And you always put a little money in it and it invests, and so it's appreciating. At least that's something. It's like, all right, if you put $100 a month forever, and it's like by the time you need something, you might have 30 grand, you know?
I think Rand Paul was talking about too, like in the free market system, if it was a true free market, that you can just buy a really cheap one and then it'll cover for extreme cases like that, but it won't cover for a lot of other things. So it's like in a true free market, if there were better options. I just hate how it's like hundreds of dollars a month, or for some people thousands, and you have to pay it. It's mandatory. It just seems like a scam. Yes, I want a safety net, but there's a reason that the prices keep surging, and it's frustrating me. Because once again, here's the conversation the news has about I don't understand how people could be liberal and Democrats and not understand something's wrong. They say, oh, Trump is trying to kill all the poor people by taking away, and Bernie Sanders, premiums are going up 400% or 500%. It's like Stockholm Syndrome prisoners, like loving the oppressor. And they're like, yeah, please steal more of my money. I'm not saying to take away people's insurance, but something is clearly wrong. They're stealing your money on all counts. The prices are surging. And the conversation the media has laid out is either everyone's going to die or everyone's going to be saved. It's not true. Obamacare is a disaster. It's ruining people's lives, taking their money, and they won't even acknowledge that happening, being like, oh, I see that's happening, but here's what we have to do to help everyone. They just act like it's not happening. They're like, whoa, if you want a new healthcare, if you want Rand Paul's free market healthcare, you must hate poor people. It's like, what? That makes no sense.
Exactly. And everyone always says, like on my videos especially, people will comment, oh, you could do this on the right too. You could find the people on the right and make them look stupid. And it's like the right, I feel like, is coming to the table and like is aware of the issues, and the left is like embarrassed for the issue existing because of them. So it's like, they act like, oh, you hate poor people. And it's like, no, there is an issue. Like the healthcare you guys put in is not good. And it's like, oh, you're racist against Obama.
Yeah.
That's why you want to take healthcare away. And it's like, well, no, I just really want to help the people. Can we just like figure this out? And then it becomes like this bashing back and forth. It's terrible. It's the Democratic game, and that's what the left does.
With everything. Yeah. They ruin everything, and they have no conversation about border security, travel security. It's not like, here's an option that's not as racist and not as xenophobic, but can save people's lives. Like, they don't say that. They just say it's racist, it's xenophobic, you can't even talk about it. They act like radical terrorism doesn't exist. They act like border security doesn't exist, like cartels and criminals don't exist of all races, religions, and genders. But they want to act like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And every, there's no crime, there's no anything. Like, it's so annoying. It's like, you don't have to be like pro build a wall. But if one side's saying, build a wall, and the other side's saying, I love Lupita, and she's got like a little Latina chick on her lap, it's like, okay, we all love, our Latinas and Latinos, but doesn't mean that's a political answer just because you have a little girl. That's called pandering. When you have Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean you care about Black lives because you have all the mothers. It means you're using those people. You're using people's race to push a political agenda that has no substance. You're not helping Black lives by ignoring all of the issues for the Black community, the white, Latina, American community. They lie about everything. So everything. It's like, where are the liberal reformers?
Like any sort of like welfare reform too, they always just push racism, but it's like, no, it's like, people abuse the welfare system, and they're like, not all people. That's racist. You can't say that.
We're not saying all people.
We're not saying that all people. We're just saying the people that are abusing it, which everyone's got a story. Everyone knows people that are. Those people we got to reform. Like, well, it's not everybody. And like, here's my story. My mom was a single mom, and she had welfare, and I went to Harvard, and now I'm a millionaire because of welfare. It's like, great. Yes, that's how it should be. Amazing. American dream. But the people there, and there are, a couple generations on welfare, or like, having kids on purpose.
Bob Ross, you'll never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance. Bob Ross, all I do is chill.
I just had a podcast with a Muslim American doctor, and he was saying, I was a doctor in Illinois, and he's like, there were a lot of poor white people I talked to, and he was like, I don't see the white privilege. You wonder why white people from, middle America vote for Trump. You're not talking to them at all. You're calling them privileged. Meanwhile, a lot of them are middle and lower class, struggling because of all the call them sanctions, but, regulations and increase in healthcare in the average family. And then you're calling them racist and privileged when they're, some of the poorest people in certain cases in America. So even, people of other religions and races, and they're noticing too, if they're honest, they're like, their whole strategy is dumb. Like, not every white person's privileged. Like, maybe they came from Ireland where they were enslaved and their parents worked in factories. Like, that's where my grandparents worked. My grandfather worked in an asbestos factory where almost everyone who worked there died because asbestos is poisonous to human beings. And I have to listen to these politicians tell me I'm privileged. When my grandfather's worked in a mattress factory and an asbestos factory, oh yeah, the privilege of working around poison. Like, that's how disgusting these loser, hypocrites, complete scumbags are.
And they're the actual racists. They're the ones who are labeling one race one thing. Oh, you're white, that means you have this experience. And like my grandma came here from Italy with not that much money, dropped out of high school, and worked in a dress factory and sewed dresses for rich white people.
And they're gonna blame you because your appearance is not, we'll only accept you if you hate yourself and you hate your family and you hate conservative American values that have pretty much made us the most progressive country to ever exist ever. And
yeah, seriously, what's better than this?
Well, they won't accept it. Like, you have to hate yourself and hate this country, and then you could be a liberal. But then we're still probably gonna turn on you in a year anyway. It's like there's nothing on the left anymore. The true classic liberal is considered right wing. That's how pathetic they are. It's how far that we've fallen. And we need both sides. We need the two-winged bird, but we need common sense above all. And there's just none. And it's a blessing that this presidency happened, because even if Trump says something, wow, I wouldn't have said that, the discussion is pushed. People are paying attention. people on both sides. People on the right have some uncomfortable truths to hear, but the people on the left have a lot of uncomfortable truths to hear, and now's the time to say them. Not everyone's right, but we've been lying politically correct style about so many things. Like, if you believe the news, like this year is like, whoa, my whole life is a lie. It's like, watch The Matrix.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. That's why they call it red pilling. Watch The Matrix, exactly.
That's based on real life. I mean, you watch that movie. I watched it recently, and I was like, wow, they were so ahead of their time. Like, they knew what was going on. Same with 1984. All these guys do. I mean, it's, you know, for a smart person, it's easy to see where this type of attitude leads.
Yeah, for real.
I'm gonna help now and pretend like I actually put this together. I did it at the beginning.
You were doing it.
I knew I would get caught up.
What do you think of Roy Moore?
So,
hard question.
With Roy Moore, I don't believe the allegations, and I'll tell you why. Here's where the media once again is ruining everything.
Exactly. Keep in mind, media's track record is trash.
Their track record, if it is true, I think myself and most of the people, all of the good people on the right, would disavow Roy Moore and tell him to drop out. No one's saying that. It's just we don't believe it because the story was put out by the Washington Post, who we've caught lying 15, 20 times. They've been lying about all this Russia stuff. They have all these crazy fake headlines all the time. Their whole tagline basically says they're the resistance impeach Trump movement. Democracy dies in darkness. I mean, democracy dies in darkness. So we're shining a light. Trump just recently audited the Department of Defense for the first time in U.S. history. So there's no darkness. It's transparency now. They're lying about everything. And then they have this bombshell report where we find out this week, like we all already knew, that it was a forged, put the date and some other things on the actual signature. So of course that ruins your credibility when part of it's forged. Of course, I find it very suspicious every time a Republican wins. All of a sudden, they find all these 40-year-old allegations or old tapes. My friend I had a podcast with yesterday as well made a very good point about the Billy Bush tapes or whatever with Trump. If they are real, and it is real a threat, and he really is a sexual predator that they think he is off of those tapes, which I don't believe it proves, but if that is true, that means that they sat on that for 11, 20 years and didn't disclose it for a political prop. So that means if it was true, which I don't think it is, these scumbags purposely sat on it for 15 years. They had this tape and they didn't release it. If it's such a bombshell, why wouldn't they release it to the public before? If they're such liars. They only do things when it's, 40 years ago. I understand he's getting in the news and stuff now, but he was a judge before. It's not like nobody knew who this guy was. If it was that big of a story, why didn't you do it 10 years ago? I don't believe it whatsoever. If it is true and it comes out true, then I apologize and I absolutely disavow him. But this is the mainstream media. They character assassinate, they lie, they make up a fake story. Everyone believes it. Jimmy Kimmel talks about it. Trevor Noah talks about it. They nonstop talk about it. People start attacking people. You got to resign. You got to resign. You got to resign. That's their whole strategy. And they've time and time again, not only did they get caught last year paying mentally ill people to start violence at Trump support rallies, and then there's all these videos, whoa, Trump supporters are so violent. They pay people to go there, so they know how easy it is to fool. You could fool a racial activist and a feminist so easily. All it takes is one fake story, and you could literally control them like robots. Like, you might as well not even be yourself if you're that easy to convince and control. I think it's a possibility, but I totally think they're lying because he's not a Mitt Romney or a Mitch McConnell. He's like a true outsider and a true gunslinger.
Yeah, and that's like the new battle that we're seeing a lot of. I think it's always going to be Republicans versus Democrats, and like that's not even worth, like, in the actual race, yes. But if we elect old school GOP people like the rhinos, you might as well elect a Democrat because they're going to be not for you 100%. And like Trump said in the beginning, are you loyal? It's like loyalty is what it's about. Like it's a new Trump Republican, basically. And that's what Roy Moore is. And that's like a crucial seat that he's going for. I think a lot of this negative Roy Moore publicity has been from the Mitch McConnells, from the rhinos.
Oh, I mean, if they lose this seat, and they've already lost a lot of things, they're losing everything. And a lot of what they do is based on an illusion and is based on a lie. And it's like a house of cards. It's collapsing regardless. They're desperately trying to save it. But This guy changes up the votes. He changes up the fake Republicans, like you say, the rhino. It changes up their whole domination and their whole matrix illusion that they had. So I find it very suspicious and odd that every time a non-Republican or Democrat wins, it's all of these scandals and all of these things to say. And that's how dumb people are. I saw Key and Peele or whatever, one of the dudes, I think it was Key
Michael P.
Not Jordan Peele. I think Keegan Michael
P.
Keegan Michael Key, I think his name. You could Google it, but I love them both. But it's like he supported the Democrat guy. What's his name? Jones. Like, tell me, okay, you know this Democrat and you're supporting him. You know him, why? Because the news said that Roy Moore's a pedophile for the last 4 weeks, and you believed it. So then you're like, oh, I'm gonna support. You look at this guy's picture. He looks like he eats babies. Like, they'll support anybody
for real
if they use the media. So I don't believe it whatsoever. I'm not even like a huge fan of Moore's policies and whatnot. Like, I'm not a hater, but it's not even about his policies. I'm just so sick of the lies. Beat the guy on policies. They have nothing. All they do is character assassinate. And I would be fine with, I'm not saying fine with it, but it would be more understandable if it was like real character assassination, but they used fake stuff. They used fake accusers. They used fake news. They used fake Russia stories. They used fake, oh, Don Jr. had a meeting with a publicist of a pop star. Whoa, what a bombshell story. I mean, they're such phonies that it makes you almost like the person more. Like,
exactly. And that's what's going on. They are really driving away the moderates, which is great, because that's what it's a battle of. It's a battle of the moderates, I think. And then with Roy Moore, I actually believe the allegations because I don't disregard the victim's firsthand account because I support women and I don't hate women. So I disagree. No, I'm kidding. I don't believe it either. I don't. And they're trying to make it the same thing. Oh, Al Franken, Conyers, it's more. They're all sexual assault people. And it's like, Al Franken, there was a picture. And then if you want to give him the fair treatment, which he deserves, fine. Every other allegation, which there are many, he should have a fair trial. Is he innocent or guilty? It sounds like he was like taking pictures of people and grabbing their butts during the picture. So, I mean, based on the one picture that does exist, he's guilty, step down. Everything else only makes it worse. Conyers, there's firsthand accounts. There's flight records of like him flying girls to wherever he was using government money for the flights, which is ridiculous. That's pretty guilty. It happened, and that's what he was doing. And then this Moore thing, it's like he didn't apologize. He didn't acknowledge it he didn't say, oh, I don't remember. He was like, no, none of this is true. A lot of these people I've never even seen or met before. So it's like you got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. At least let him go through an investigation or whatever. There's no charges filed. It's just allegations. So it's like if you're going to take away the career of this person who's been loyally serving, everyone in the town says he's a great Christian for like 40 years, and you're going to take that away from an allegation that the right has no control over and the left has a history of doing. I mean, come on. I mean, let's be real. Let him get, let him get found out to be guilty. Step down. Done.
Absolutely. And especially he's been calling for an investigation into that yearbook thing. They wouldn't do it, and then they found out that part of it, if not all of it, is forged. I don't know how much, but
it sounds like he signed it and then they wrote like the date underneath. So when it comes to that, I don't think that necessarily disqualifies it. Like, she wrote the date and like, whatever his role was at that time, which I get, it's like a celebrity, but I don't think the yearbook signing means he's guilty either. Like, I don't think he did sign it. It's like, all right, he signed someone's yearbook. Also, I'm not defending this whole thing, but like 40 years ago in Alabama, like people were like 14, 15, 16 years old and like dating seriously. People got married at 15, 16 years old. Not saying it's normal. I wouldn't date a young person, but it was a thing. He came back from the war. I'm not like saying it's okay, but I'm saying it was more okay then and different. No one had Instagram.
Even with stuff now, a lot of these stories, it makes you think what they're really covering up, because Jacob Schwartz, I was telling you about earlier, CNN contributor, young Democrat, worked for de Blasio and had connections otherwise, had hundreds of pictures of child pornography on his computer, up to 6 months old. And some of the pictures of the other kids they said included sexual acts or other, you know, people in it or other body parts or whatnot. They're very kind of masked about it. But okay, so what's a bigger bombshell story? Like, and I'm not even saying, I understand like Louis C.K. and stuff are famous, and I'm not justifying those things, but it's like, okay, you make these huge deals out of some stuff, and then some stuff you kind of whisper. I mean, 6-month-old kids, that to me, that's a bombshell story. Like,
that's insane.
It's not even debatable about who's, you know, the victim there. And I'm not saying that other ones are even debatable, but there's no self-accountability. It's all lies and distractions. And when something big like that happens, they sweep it under the rug. And then these other stories where it's just like, Me Too. I talked to a woman recently who's, you know, a younger woman. She says, I think the Me Too campaign is kind of a scam because it's making women think psychologically, me too, me too, me too. So this girl told me, you know, I've never been raped or assaulted, but I've had like weird sex and things I haven't wanted to get involved in. But she was like, I almost feel like this campaign is trying to like, maybe she's getting targeted too, where they're advertising, but making me like want to out somebody, where she's like, I've slept with assholes before. And like, you know, I've seen women cheat and like cheat with some guy at college and then like wake up in the morning and be like, oh, he raped me, just because they didn't want to be held accountable because they had a boyfriend and they cheated on their boyfriend and they were drunk. And that's what they're telling girls now on college campuses. If you're drunk, you got raped. So if you have a boyfriend and you cheated on him and then you wake up in the morning and you don't want to like suffer the, you know, consequences of that, you can ruin somebody's life and be like, oh no, he raped me. I think rape happens. I think sexual assault happens, but we're blurring the lines of rape now. Who does that help? Does that help women? No. Who that helps are child rapists and real rapists and sexual abusers and real bosses who sexually abuse their workers, which happens. I've helped a woman recently get over that and find a new job. I was very happy about that. But that's who that helps. They're blurring the lines by lying about it. I mean, you know, it's disgusting stuff. And I think they know exactly what they're doing. Me too, me too, me too. Now every little altercation or like, I mean, even a lot of these stories, I don't think these guys are great people. I'm sure they were lying, abusing. They should be held accountable, guys should think. But I went to his hotel room. I was reading one report. I went to his hotel room, and I'm like, you went to his hotel room? I wouldn't go to a hotel room for a meeting, no matter who it was.
Especially probably late at night.
As a guy, even out here in LA, I would assume they're trying to have sex with me. That's just the common sense that no one wants to talk about. But then they went there and started massaging them. Even if you're in somebody's office at freaking Atlantic Records, hey, An0maly, can you massage me? Oh, I bet, like, that's not, and then, oh, they jerked off, like, you have to have some sound, like, yes, they're powerful, but a lot of times, I think they want the job, they want the money, they want the power, they want something to gain, so they're willing to do it in the time, and then they realize later, oh, he was taking advantage of me. Totally, wow. But at what point are you self-accountable? Because
like, it is a scumbag move, but totally. There a lot of the times they may have been consent, basically. Oh, I'm going to jerk off in front of you. Is that okay? It's like, if you don't get up and walk away.
A lot of the times. I mean, if you go to someone's hotel room and start massaging them, you know what you're doing. Like, of course you want that, especially when it's someone that powerful. I mean, he could change your life. That's a multi-million-dollar role. I understand. It's the same reason why, you know, there's rumors of people in the music industry, you know, saying that a lot of the guys are gay and had to do gay acts on it, execs to get there.
Bob Ross, I be too calm for the drama. You don't want to cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross.
We're such an overly litigious society. Everybody wants to sue. Nobody wants to be a real man or a real woman anymore. Solve the problem. Solve the problem to somebody's face. Like, I'm not going to sue anybody. I'm not mad at anybody. If someone did something wrong to me, I did two things in my life. I either did something about it, they stole money from me, I got the money back. I didn't cry or get a lawyer. I took the shit back myself, you know? Like, man up, woman up, and solve the problem. Everybody wants to hide behind lawyers and hide behind the news and hide behind the press. That's why I don't like journalism. It's a bunch of, you know, sociopathic, low-energy crab haters who sit behind computers a lot of times. You go out in the flesh to people, you know? I talk, but it's like I talk to people on the street, and I'm not outing anybody. I'm not mad at it. Like, they're creating this cult of victimization culture, and once again, it's hiding real rapes. That's why I say the stuff that no one else will say. These are the people getting away, the actual ones who are like, yeah, man, they're looking at this hotel story like, shit, I hope they don't know what I did. Like,
Wow. Yeah. I spoke to a woman yesterday who I met who, like, I was just speaking with in Instagram, and she's like, oh, I'm going to be in LA, and she's been really nice. I met her for dinner, and she told me a story about how she was sexually assaulted when she was, like, out in LA trying to be an actress. And she's like, yeah, this Me Too stuff is crap. She's like, when that happened, I went to the police the next day, and I filed a police report, and like, I filed criminal charges.
Yeah.
And I didn't care what the role was. It wasn't the opportunity. I was just like, no, that's not cool. What happened last night wasn't okay. And then there's other girls who came forward as well because she did that. That happened within recent, recently. And it's like, and that's how you handle it.
And what
like
happened? They got in trouble?
I think it's still going through court, and it's like still going through court this day. But like right away, boom. Oh yeah, it wasn't cool. I don't care who you are or what you think, who you think you are. We're going to the police station, arrest this person. Here's what happened. Do all the stuff. Bam, handle it.
Totally. And then if the police, like if it happened like that, and the police didn't do anything because they were helping, then go to a news source. Totally. Like if the police is now working with them, and you're like, wow, they're not even. But that's how it's done. No one wants to do it anymore. We hide behind lawyers. We're such a soft pussy society, for lack of a better terms, and it really doesn't help anybody. It's like, get the job done. But that's why even some of these stories I'm reading, it sounded like they did what they probably didn't want to do or did want to do at the time. And then kind of were like, man, like there's no accountability anymore. And you have to not be, especially in Los Angeles, everybody you meet pretty much lies. Oh, I'm gonna change your life. That's every guy's punchline. And even women, like the women I talk to, like not everyone, there's a lot of cool people out here, but I keep my circle small, and I hear a lot of talk, but what are you doing? Same with Trump, really. And everyone's, okay, talk. What's the difference? Talk, action, talk, action. Like, I'm not listening to all the words. I'm getting to the point.
Yeah.
So that's what we all have to do.
Exactly. And the media assumes, everyone assumes the media has their best interest and they listen to it, but it's just like, those are the ones who are controlling the whole thing, the whole game.
Yeah, and in parts, I think they know exactly what they're doing. Sometimes I think they're just like products of don't know what they're doing. Like, oh, I'm trying to really, like, they believe this stuff. I think like a lot of activists, like Black Lives Matter activists and feminist activists, I don't think they're bad people. I think they're good people who really do want to see the world be better. I don't hate any, like, I have a lot of fans and friends who are doing all this stuff. I just think these movements have been hijacked, and they're doing the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do because they're not telling the full circle story. Yeah. And the media does that with everything. I
agree. The protesters I come in contact with, you've seen it too, they're passionate people.
Totally.
Their heart's in it, and that's like what makes for a satisfying life. If you're passionate about your work, if you're passionate about your family, it's like that makes you fulfilled. And like they're trying to seek fulfillment, which is like a natural human thing. But the left hijacked these movements, and now it's like a war they can't win. They're only making it worse.
Yeah. And
so if you're a feminist, it's like, all right, talk about issues, make people aware, great. But like, I would really focus on the Middle East. I would really focus on Sharia law. I would really focus on the refugees in Europe and what's going on there. That was if I had $100, I would put 90 of it there, and I would take the other 10 and
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, people like the left and the right, but people have certain things they care about. Even when it comes to Israel, Palestine, it's like the left cares about Palestine, right? A lot of they care about Israel. It's like people are so caught in their zones that they're not, like, it becomes political. Like, it's not really even the social movements have become political, and they don't realize that the politicians are lying to them. So at the end of the day, I do think it comes down to, though, people really being able to self-reflect and change themselves. Even like, feminism and Black Lives Matter, and even Republicans, conservatives and Democrats, whatever, they do a lot of blaming. They do a lot of pointing out the stuff, but sometimes, in almost every case, the biggest problem is within. It's within yourself. It's within your own community. It's within your own city. It's within your own town, your own family. We got to be able to change these things. And then the whole world will change, but everybody's in this finger-pointing battle, and the media totally endorses it 1,000%. And I think that's what I've seen the right do, that I've been impressed in, and why I've, been drawn to more people like you and gotten along with people that are like Trump supporters, and they understand me, is because I've seen a huge awakening on the right where people are self-reflecting. I've seen Christians who traditionally were very stubborn, like, I don't want to hear anything but the Bible. They're listening to people like Alex Jones, and, like, now they're like, he's Christian, but he's also like a next level truth teller. So it's like they're learning, they're growing, they're self-reflecting, they're down to help their families and stuff. And it's all the other sides that have no accountability. And the thing that they're blaming is usually like the nothing burger story. When it comes to almost every act, I mean, the modern feminist movement, women are so powerful. Women run this country. You know, other countries, that's why they have laws like that. And that's why they have religions like that, because women are so powerful, you know? That's why, I mean, that's probably why historically you have the Muslims that, you know, hide their women because they're beautiful and they don't want to show them off to everybody and they want to keep them to themselves. I understand the concept of it. I'm not saying,
sounds pretty nice.
But then it's like here, we're the exact opposite. Like too much conservatism, that becomes, oh, cover it and then no white rights for women. That's not good. Too much extremist liberalism, you have that. I mean, what can't you do if you're a woman here? You could do everything times 50 of what a man could do if you stop hating and complaining and look within and be like, oh, I have what I'm looking for. It's like the core of every spirituality that they're missing. That's what changed my life. It wasn't wishing I had everything else. It was realizing, oh, I'm very lucky. I could have more, but I could have less. Like it's basic like self-reflection, and there's none of it on the left.
Exactly. We all start at different points, but the ability to reach the end goal exists for everybody, you know? And we all come from different times and different places, you know, whether you're immigrating here yourself or your grandparents or great-grandparents came here, everyone has an immigration story and like an immigration come up. My grandma came here with nothing, $1. She met my grandpa. My parents had nothing, went to good college, worked hard. Then they had more, then I have more, then I'm going to work and do something and hopefully give more to the next. And it's like, you know, that's what it is.
And it's real even among people that complain, even the complainers, if they look back on their family tree, one, a lot of the complainers are actually very wealthy. You know, like a lot of times, a lot of the liberals, they're multimillionaires. And it's like, wait, what? You are the privileged.
White guilt is so real with like rich millennials out in LA. It's like, it's so bad. Like they'll in a bar, they'll be like, well, it's like, dude, this whole country was built on slavery. And it's like, dude, this country also stopped slavery. And like 500,000 people died trying to stop slavery. And it's like,
learn something, burn something. If you got a company, go earn something. If you an artist, start up and make it worth something. I'm Bob Ross, life is A-OK. And if you got them bad vibes, you can stay away. I'm Bob Ross.
I have a thing with like a lot of like leftist people. They're very condescending without realizing. So I'll be like, oh, like the weather's cold, like it's probably gonna snow soon. And they're like, oh, not even that, like it's gonna be really windy. And it's like, not even that, like, and not even that is like, oh, like I'm an idiot. Like, no, it's, I know what you're trying to say and it's not that, but this is, you know, this is what you meant. And it's like, all right, cool talking to you, man.
You know, at the Ben Shapiro one, we both got an interview with her, the black Trump supporter chick. And then the black Trump hater chick came up and was like, did you even go to college? Are you even educated? Like, it was like the most kind of like, that's how you start a debate. Like, even if I thought I was way smarter than I'm facing, like somebody that has no education is really dumb, I wouldn't walk into the debate and be like, you don't even have a college degree. Like, I can't, on my most arrogant day, imagine doing something that ignorant, that disgusting, and that low. And these people think they're going to stop the racism and sexism. They're like,
they lead with
it. Go to college? Like, even if that's true, you're such a dirtbag for saying that.
They lead with it. They lead with it.
People, I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murdering scum running giant death factories.
Eating babies alive and selling their body parts.
What more could you know about these people? I go out and face these scum. You do.
Yeah.
They literally crawl out from under rocks.
They literally call from other rocks.
Their green looking skin.
What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scums. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video.
I have them on video. It's all true.
Wow.
It's all true.
What a good Fleccas Talks. Anything else? Are we boycotting anything? No, everyone's been pretty normal.
This is so good. You got to get
we'll get a shot of this. This is great. what a scene for this photographer.
Is this free market capitalism or is this Bernie Sanders socialism?
This is free market capitalism. And you know what? You know why? Because everyone's doing their own thing and no one's stopping. The deer isn't saying, "Oh, the bear can't be such a bear because I'm not able to be a bear." The bear is just like, "I'm doing my thing with my kid." The moose isn't a moose; it's an elk.
This is so
the
good.
Deer over here just chilling, and like no one cares what the otter's up to as long as he doesn't get too crazy. He's knocking some trees down, but there's other trees. These squirrels in there. I guess that's where you need the government, because the squirrel might be like, "Yo, beaver, woodchuck thing, stop chopping the trees down. That's where I live." And the owl's like, "I'm team squirrel, even though we disagree on other things. And I eat them. This situation, I'm team squirrel."
Incredible.
Bald eagle, no fucks given anywhere.
Clearly right wing.
Yeah, very right wing.
Left wing don't. They want to save him, but they don't like him.
Cool. An0maly, we're gonna close with your new song,
Bob Ross. Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna lie, I see the shit y'all saying sometimes. It's just, I'm chilling paying birds like I don't even see it. You feel me? Bob Ross, you won't never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance. Bob Ross, all I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross. All I do is win. Don't mess with the king, for real, Bob Ross. Your girl eat me up like Chex Mix. Watch me all the time like Netflix, Bob Ross. Let me take it down slow, let me break it down low. Holla, holla. I done come up from the basement, I done struggle from the pavement. Came up high, I feel Jamaican till my eyes switch to the matrix. We are all just human, shout out Puerto Rican, French and Haitian. I just say it, everybody play themselves if they erase us. Hating someone for a reason, they ain't choosing, so disgraceful. I be painting birds and clouds like I don't see the shit y'all saying. Please embrace me, need two girls when I need time for some occasions. Yeah, I'll take it, double up like I invested all my savings. Bob Ross, you won't never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance. Bob Ross, all I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross. All I do is win. Yeah, don't mess with the king, for real, Bob Ross. Yeah, I used to be a savage. You don't wanna see me panic. You would rather see me lay low in a hammock, cause I've had it with the havoc on this planet, I imagine. Like John Lennon, I like bad women. I like nice girls too, that's my preference. My mom told me you could blow up on Ellen, but I'm too real, Lord forgive me, call the reverend. Tell them how to deal with the devil, but went back to be myself. Got these girls kneeling for me, they like half the NFL. Oh man, why'd he say it? I be pro-LGBT. How else could I get 3 girls that wants to treat me like a king? Bob Ross, you won't never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance. Bob Ross, all I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross. All I do is win. Don't mess with the king, for real. Everything I do an illustration, I'm the illest spraying, feel amazement. Got no deal, I'm taking every bill I'm making. Building payments, chill like Bob Ross when he feel the waves and quit the paper. This ain't Picasso flow, this tutorial, so learn something. Burn something, if you got a company, go earn something. If you an artist, start up and make it worth something.